Good afternoon. Thanks for being with us today. This is a special day at Syracuse University and at the Maxwell School and for the Institute of National Security and Counterterrorism. We're welcoming to campus the governor of the Laghman Province of Afghanistan, Governor Mohammad Iqbal Azizi, and with him our Syracuse University alum from the Maxwell School and the College of Law, Miguel Sapp, who's the senior civilian in Laghman Province now, Foreign Service Officer in the Department of State, retired Lieutenant Colonel in the United States Army, but of course, most importantly, a Syracuse graduate. We have spent now a number of days with Governor Azizi and Mr. Sapp in Washington and in Syracuse, courtesy of a grant from the State Department, the embassy in Kabul, to allow Governor Azizi to learn a little bit more about governance here in the United States. You'll find out that he's been a very able and effective governor in his province in Afghanistan, and for us to learn more from him about rebuilding that part of Afghanistan and indeed his experiences from around Afghanistan. So this has been an optimal project from our point of view. It's the proverbial two-way street. I think the governor has learned something during his visit, but we've learned a great deal from him as well. So I'm going to get out of the way. The plan for this session today is informal. That is, the governor will make some remarks about his experiences in recent years in Afghanistan. Miguel Sapp will follow with some comments of his own, and then there'll be ample time for a conversation for all of you. So please welcome Governor Azizi and Mr. Sapp.
Yes. Would be okay to state. Good morning, colleagues, professors, dear students, and all the participants of this distinguished gathering. And thank you for your very warm welcome. It's indeed an extraordinary privilege and honor that is offered by this very well-reputed university, my colleagues and partners here. Colleagues, decades of violence, from Soviet Union to the foreign terrorists whose ambition was to use and exploit our homeland is their safe haven, the foreign terrorists. It's not working.
A red light on?
Yeah. I think working now. As you touch it, it started working. Colleagues, 30 years before, Afghanistan was flourishing, Afghanistan was improving, Afghanistan was developing, Afghanistan was a very stable country. But when a very tragic day was when there was helicopters, red flags, with big vehicles and tanks entered Afghanistan. And bombings. The first time in the modern history of Afghanistan, the voices of bombs in front of Kabul University, in front of President's Palace were heard. This is initiated the very tragic phase of Afghan history. Soviets were coming. Sometimes were very much consciously trying to manipulate Afghan traditions, and sometimes were taking some steps very much contradictory with Afghan culture and all the religious institutions of this thing. So, with the phase, and the international environment at that time was also not very much conducive for a peaceful Afghanistan. So there was jealousies between Warsaw Pact countries and NATO countries. So Afghans resisted Soviets very harshly. National resistance movement started in Afghanistan because Soviets, not keeping in mind Afghan cultural sensitivities, violating traditions. So the United States of America and NATO countries were very much supportive, very enthusiastically supporting Afghan freedom movement. Then one day came, criminal decided that there would be withdrawal of forces. The forces withdraw, disappeared at once, without commitment, without responsibility. And this was the time. This was the time that our friends, NATO, also left us alone to the mercy of conditions. This was the next and the second most tragic phase in Afghan history. We were crying to the world, where are our friends now? The ground is empty, nobody is seen. So this was most tragic because political rivalries, ethnic confrontations started in Afghanistan again. Civil war was destroying all our institutions, infrastructure, in the worst kind of civil war we experienced in Afghanistan. The most tragic it was that our neighbors was interfering and very tragically, very non-sympathetically was managing the situation on their own benefits. Some were on the name of this ethnicity supporting this faction, and some was this. We were crying at that time because we noticed some signs of potential risks to the world that alien faces are seen there in Afghanistan. Some are speaks Arabic, some are speaks Chechen, some are speaks Punjabi, some are speaking Urdu, some Hindi. Who these people are? This is not Afghan products. Told us that these are your supporters who are supporting you, and these were the people now to NATO. This is NATO's product. We were asking the world that they shifted their role now. They are exploiting our homeland as terrorist bases. Tora Bora, a big black mountains. Holes were there. Trust me, we were crying. We were asking the world, come please manage the situation. It will threaten the peace of the world. But the world was not very much responsive. They were not responding pragmatically. The response and the answer we heard was, it's your own issue, managed by your own self. We said, okay. Then, one day, another movement started, third phase. People come on the name of Taliban. I mean, Mullah Umar was heard that we were not recognizing who this man is. This was Mullah Umar, one-eyed man. And started fighting from Kandahar province and was coming and was very effectively fighting and dismantling other people, other parties. They arrived to Kabul and they occupied Kabul. When they occupied Kabul, Afghanistan was in a very stressing stage. No education, no healthcare, no infrastructure. What they said, no education for girls anymore. You have to be having a level of the peers and this interfering in a very, very minor things. And again we notice very, very dangerous momentum that yes, Al-Qaeda is connecting them, Arabs are connecting them, world's notorious terrorist networks are also connected with them. Again, we ask the world that host Tora Bora, Kandahar, and these places are transforming in a terrorist basis. Please help us. No education was there at all. No healthcare system was there at all. No concept of life was existing in that time. We ask the world at the same time, okay, if not security-wise you are supporting, is human beings, please support us. Because we sacrifice a lot for you. When you were fighting Soviets, we lost 1 million people. So please come to our support. Highly indifferent. Highly intolerant. Very, very non-responsive environment we found at that time. So then Monday was 9/11. They became empowered, well organized, reached here to Washington, D.C., New York, London, Spain, Paris, and different other parts of the world. It was a potential threat for world peace. And still, at that time, the ambition was to gain nuclear technology as well. So when they hit the World Trade Towers, Pentagon, and also tried to White House, to reach White House as well, we found a reaction. We say, okay, now you become conscious. Now 45 countries enter Afghanistan to eliminate and eradicate their own products. Some of our neighbors were very much trying to develop and pursue war economy, to gain from war. My colleagues, Afghanistan changed. Afghanistan changed at once with great enthusiasm. Women come to social life, to the politics. Loya Jirga came. Law was created. Constitution process started to be made. It was the first time that dreams were realized in Afghanistan. We were not expecting that a day will come in Afghanistan that we will be having constitution. It was a dream. But fortunately, the first time President Karzai came with Loya Jirga, very, very good constitution we have. Then 7 million students come to the schools. The enthusiasm, the hunger for education exists in Afghanistan. You will never find this hunger and this ambition and this enthusiasm in any other part of the world. Women became police in Afghanistan. Instead of warlords commanding, dictating people's life, now is very well organized, uniformed army in Afghanistan, security forces. Infrastructure is developing, agriculture was developing. Enemy was becoming more and more marginalized and isolated. People were becoming more and more immune from their radicalization. So it was the first positive moment. Colleagues, trust me, the developments and achievements made in these 9 years in Afghanistan, I call this strategic development. Strategic means to me that in a very short period of time, the progress and development is more than the time invested, the money invested. Yes, brutal insurgency is still resisting. Challenges are still there in Afghanistan. The challenges here, I found, in this part of the world, the perception about Afghanistan and this part of the world is too contradictory to the ground realities in Afghanistan. Our progresses and developments and achievements and accomplishments are highly undermined. The second challenge in this part of the world is expectations high and patience low. My colleagues, your brave forces in Afghanistan today, they are fighting war. Of course, is protecting us, defending us. We are very appreciative. We are very thankful to you. But at the same time, they are protecting you here. They're defending the very beautiful cities of Syracuse, Washington, New York, and these cities. You have one option. I always try to say to my colleagues, no another option except to eradicate, eliminate, fight terrorism, deter terrorism. But you have multiple options. We are to fight the war. Here, in some other parts of the world, the battleground will be Hindu Kush, Helmand, Kandahar, and Kabul. We are sacrificing because we are in the front line. Again we ask, again we were asking the world, please strategically manage the situation. Strategically respond to eradication of, not emotionally. Not deal with the symptoms of terrorism, root causes. But it is, I think, the time, at a high time. And we've noticed some things, improvements that the world is becoming to the real root causes. My colleagues, the very frustrating thing I found here is that you people are differentiating between Taliban and Al-Qaeda. It's new thing I hear here. I say one, no difference. Mullah Omar sacrificed his government for the survivability of Osama bin Laden. But why the world is not confessing, and why the world is not agree with us that the people, the intelligence services, who are supporting, sponsoring terrorism, why? That is not managed. We are asking the world, for instance, an example, very obvious now to you, but 8 years is a big time. The security assistance given to Afghanistan is 4 times less than given to Pakistan. You are very generous, very generously contributed to Pakistan's security sector. High-tech military technology you given to Pakistan. But it's not to give us. We still have the memories of Taliban's time in mind. So we will not repeat the mistake. But we very humbly ask our partners, come, deal the situation strategically as partners. Listen to us. From where the terrorism is coming, is you manage, is you deal with the root causes of terrorism or not? I'm coming to the 3 new issues in Afghanistan today. My colleagues, first to Laghman and then coming to the international issues. Our dreams realized in different ways in education. In front of my office there is a girls' school, we call Mastura Girls' School. 2,500 girl students are going there. If you come see the ambition, the enthusiasm, the interest in education, you will be surprised. We found your Nancy Pelosi visited that school. Your other Congress delegations were coming to Laghman and was visiting, was inspiring the students. In Laghman, Miguel Khan, I call Malik Khan, contributed a lot to the development, capacity building, governance. Drip irrigation system is the new thing in Afghan history in my very cost-effective way. So, Afghan approach were very much enriched by the experts and specialists we had in Afghanistan. So it was very encouraging. Today our healthcare is improving. Today education is very much developed. Access to education is everywhere. But infrastructure is much changed. If I show 10 years before picture of Afghanistan and today, you will not believe it all. Who was expecting that women will be coming to the parliament of Afghanistan and they will be engaged in the decision-making bodies? It was a dream. Who was expecting that in the cabinet of Afghanistan there will be women ministers? Who was expecting that women can be governors? We very much appreciate, we are very much impressed by the democratic values of the United States of America you transfer to Afghanistan. My colleagues, we are working today in Afghanistan. People were coming to President Karzai and was asking President, is there any other way except war? President Karzai asked that let's ask the people what people think, what people's options are. He called 2,000 people elders, Lohi Jirga we call, and asked the people what's the best way to avoid the state which we are facing structural violence. Only one option. Is there any other options? So people advised President Karzai, yes, that's peace and reintegration. In Afghanistan, all the time I'm talking in each meeting, there are 4 categories of insurgents in Taliban. One is ideologically, politically motivated people. That's, some intelligence services of our neighbor countries and also Al-Qaeda is behind them. The other is Afghanistan was in a very abnormal state when Aizi was entering in Afghanistan. Taliban government fell, people escaped. Some people who were giving just food to the Taliban and hosting Taliban sometimes because Taliban was the government of the time. No other option that you be isolating a government from. So some fears and scares were there that people also left. And sometimes our non-experience was that searching this house, this, and then Afghan and national security forces were also incapable and were not. Even President Karzai's bodyguard was foreign troops in that time. So it was, we started from zero. Of course, there were some shortcomings which created fear among the minds of the people and they escaped. The third is local grievances, tribal issues, poverty, and this kind of factors. This is the third category. The fourth is criminals. With the first and fourth, peace and reintegration is not doing any deal. With the second and third, we offer that yes, colleagues, yes, friends, yes, Afghans, accept constitution, respect human rights, women's rights. You can come very conditional. It is the most success story in Afghanistan today. It reduced the violence, the intensity of violence. One of the most indigenous package, very comprehensive. I remember when very notorious Taliban commander came and as a reintegree, he asked me, Governor, take my gun, but give me a shower. Means find some work for me. That's why with the assistance and the cooperation of Malik Khan, USAID, PRT, World Bank, UNICEF, and other partners, working with our social work department, created vocational training programs, self-reliance. So in this vocational training program, this is a preventive package as well at the same time, not to prevent others to become insurgents. And also giving work opportunities for the people. We are also talking about transition, colleagues. Transition in Afghanistan is a very exciting, new, and it's very much interest of your country. President Obama announced his strategy for Pakistan and Afghanistan. From 10 years before, we are very much different, and it's high time to talk about transition, but responsibly, with a commitment, not emotionally. Transition in Afghan mindsets and stereotypes is manipulated and perceives something else because Soviets withdrew. Some other people who came who also withdrew, and we were left in the sympathy to the conditions. So we ask the world community to complete the mission with the partnership of Afghan people. So If you have today 120,000 troops in Afghanistan, reduce that. Because 10 years before there was no single Afghan soldier. Today we have 200,000 soldiers in Afghanistan. So let's compensate. Let's Afghan soldiers substitute. You just perform your supportive role, train them, equip them to manage the situation. The other was, 10 years before, I was unable to find a single teacher for 300 students. I was the education director at that time. But today, the same school, well-qualified teachers. The teachers are waiting in line to be recruited, and merit-based recruitment is taking place. So, efficiency is enhancing, capacity is building, the impression here is very contradictory. So, then we are also talking for long-term strategic partnership in 3 key areas. One is in security area. United States of America and international troops should shift its role from combatant to support role. They should only support us because the regional environment is not very much satisfactory. Our forces can manage the situation if the state was stable, as it is today. But we know the ambitions, the rival ambitions of some of our neighbors, that how ambitious they are to endanger Afghan security, the tactics, the new, in first type of the Afghan history, suiciders are coming, strange. Or training them, or giving them explosives, or giving them remote control IEDs. So, because the ambitions, the intention of our neighbors not changed. So, long-term strategic partnership will be focusing on 3 key areas. One is security, as I mentioned. The other is economic partnership. Economic means Afghanistan is having very rich mine resources, trillions of dollars. Gold is there, copper is there, uranium is there, platinum is there, and so many others. I'm not telling you it's your NASA surveys. So, and we also not very much want to be beggars, to be always dependent upon others, to be parasites. No, colleagues. We want to be a partner, a colleague, and we know the principles of partnership. And the third is, of course, in government institutions, democratization, institution building. Of course, your role would be very significant on such a day. The people of Afghanistan are coming to Kabul and is discussing the conditions of long-term strategic partnership. So Afghanistan today is a success story. The mission is not yet completed. Don't perceive Afghanistan from this big distance. You are very warmly invited to Afghanistan. See, come there, have a field assessment, and see how Afghanistan is improving, how Afghanistan is flourishing, how Afghanistan is developing, how people are optimistic and hopes are there. If nothing else was done, you stand in front of Kabul University, the enthusiasm you say. You just stand in front of one of our elementary schools. You will see the excitement, the enthusiasm. So the developments only in the education sector in Afghanistan is enough, if nothing else is done in Afghanistan for this 9 years. We very much honor your sacrifices, the casualties you are facing. We are very much sympathetic, and we feel ourselves very unfortunate when we are coming like this gatherings, and you people are very warmly welcoming us with joys, with smiles, and we tell you that we share our condolences for the life casualties you face in Afghanistan. We know our history. For 30 years, people were killing us. There is no family in Afghanistan who would not lose one of their family member in the war. But for you, we very much wish a safe life, the life you enjoy here. We don't want your Syracuse like Kabul. We never will be thinking about your Washington like in our Kandahar. So have and enjoy the life. And finally, I want to say, and then I'm going to give the chance to Malik Khan. Fighting in Kandahar, fighting in Laghman, fighting in Helmand and Afghanistan mean two meanings, two goals. One, we very much appreciate that you are protecting us. The other, they are protecting you. Your forces are sacrificing for American interests at the same time. Otherwise, the terrorists are reaching here. This time with more reactionary behavior, more revengeful. And if the state was not controlled, they will also gain nuclear technology. People in their countries are not creating atom bombs for us. The ambition is someone else. So thank you for your patience. I would very warmly welcome your questions. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you so much.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much. First, I'd like to thank the guests that have come out here today, Cheryl, Professor Banks, Ann, Lil, and all the other distinguished persons that have joined us here today. It gives me great pride to come back here with Governor Azizi to come to the Institute for National Security and Counterterrorism, because when I was here, this was not here. The overlapping of law and public administration have never been so present in my life as it is right now. Diplomacy has never been as important as it is to me as it is now. I have served my country in uniform, and I'm very happy that I've been able to do that, to answer the call of my own nation. But where we are in this conflict, diplomacy becomes even more important, because without Governor Azizi being here before you, you would not have had that touch, that feel, that knowledge, that impact that he can give you. Many of you are going to be going off to foreign nations, to foreign countries, to conflict zones, to places that have experienced man-made or natural disasters. I want to give you this tidbit of advice. Look, listen, learn. You can go in with prepackaged things because the agency or the organization, the NGO that you're working with has told you this is what they need. I tell you, you don't know what they need. They don't know what they need. Wait until you get the opportunity to talk to the people on the ground and find out what they need. It gave me pause just yesterday when I was sitting on the professor's class when she was telling the story about the hose, that there are hose for men and there are hose for women. Somebody said, we need hose, so the first thing they thought of, okay, we'll give you men hose. That is an example of cultural, linguistic differences. And these are the kind of differences that cause challenges to us everywhere we go. We go in with very good intentions, and sometimes those intentions are misguided. You have a great opportunity right here, right now, at this time in your life to learn, to experience, to get the insight that is so desperately needed by our country and other countries for your services. When I went to Afghanistan to serve in the position that I'm in now, I sat in the meeting with the military and a few other civilians and the governor and the governor's staff. And everybody was talking. And I made it a point not to say anything. I looked, I listened, and finally, the governor turned to me and looked and said, "Well, what are you doing here?" I said, "I'm here to learn. I'm here to listen." And from that, we forged a relationship. Relationships are so important in this business because the relationship is what you build upon. It becomes the foundation, and it becomes the launching block, the launching point for everything else. Our policies, our programs, our activities in Afghanistan are not always very well understood. We have soldiers who are going over, we have diplomats who are going over, we have contractors who are going over. But the message of what are we actually doing, who is actually doing it, and what is our long-term goal, those are the questions that need to be answered. And we answer those questions through media, we answer those questions through press releases, but the best way we answer those questions is by people like us coming before you and telling you what we have done and what we plan to do. So I don't want to take any more time, but I do want to take a moment. This is Remembrance Week, and we also have Veterans Day coming up on the 11th. I'd like to take a moment of silence to remember the veterans, to remember our fellow students who passed away on Pan Am Flight 103. Thank you very much.
We have some time for questions and discussion. Yes,
This man was, please, ma'am.
Thank you for giving me opportunity because after that I'll have a class to attend to. I take liberty to say two sentences in Pashto, which I'm sure you are able to understand. So dera mehrabani and pakhair ragle that you have. My name is Rizwana and I am from Pakistan. Humphrey Fellow enrolled in Maxwell School. I have quick questions to ask. What is the statistics, current statistics regarding the poppy cultivation in Afghanistan and what your government is doing to restrict the cultivation because it has negative externalities? And what is your country's stance on erecting a border fence? Because back in the time of General Pervez Musharraf, there was a suggestion that in order to check the cross-border movement of people, we should erect a border fence along the line. And being a custom officer, I have witnessed the thing that because of Afghan transit trade, a lot of smuggling is going on in Pakistan because the containers are diverted back to Pakistan. So these are three questions.
This is going to be a two-part answer. The governor will answer, but I will begin the answer. First, with regard to the counter-narcotics issue, poppy cultivation has increased. Afghanistan is still high on the list for the United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime. Is there talk of about a fence? I will not discuss what the policy in that context is. We do have border coordination centers, BCCs, that do run along the border between Pakistan and Afghanistan. The Department of State, through the International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Bureau, are working with Pakistan and with Afghanistan regarding the movement and the cultivation of poppy and other narcotics. So that answers that part of your question. And with that, I'll leave it to the governor.
Poppies, narcotics should not be a separate case study in Afghanistan. It's very much connected with the terrorism, of course. We have sometimes have evidences and proofs that some of our enemies outside the border here are encouraging the farmers to cultivate and also providing conducive environment to smuggle, because the demand exists there. We are very sensitive in this case, because when you're eradicating poppies in Afghanistan by force, it generates insurgency. We have the experience of these things. So here we are very consciously dealing with this situation with CBA, community-based approach. For instance, I have a project, Go Green. Go Green is very constructive engagement of communities in development sector and also security in poppies and these things of issues. I ask the people that this amount of money is given to you, you have to contribute also for canal repairment, for school repairments, for whatever you are designing the projects. So people are very enthusiastically contributing, and then we prevent through this ways. For instance, there is a district, Bapach district, where the people were, because of poverty, and there was a very encouraging environment to cultivate the poppies. I asked Malik Khan one day that I would like to have a meeting with ED, the Agriculture Development Team, Ministry of Agriculture, and as well as Ministry of Anti-Narcotics, and me. We sit with the people, we develop an approach, giving people seeds and fertilizers, also people engagement very constructively in a contributing manner, not only giving money to the people, people are contributing. So through this CBS, our CBS, community-based approach, not only we are dealing with the terrorism or insurgency, but we are also fighting very effectively. Now, today, I very proudly announce here that Laghman, which was cultivating poppy, is reduced to from 1,000 hectares to 6,000. There was thousands of hectares of land was to be cultivated. Through this CBAs, through a very strategic and on-time response to the people's needs and engaging the people. So it is sensitive, because if you only go and adopt a very typical technical approach to eradicate poppies, so on the other hand, it will generate insurgency. So sometimes people are encouraging this thing, and we know the sensitivity why. As far as the border is concerned, ma'am, I actually not fully understand in which sense you're talking about only smuggling, ma'am, or insurgency.
Movement of people. There was a proposal in times of General Pervez Musharraf that we should erect
Ma'am, we understand. If our partners are sincere in eradicating terrorism and stopping smuggling, that can be stopped without borders engagements. Borders engagement was actually a war economy project, which was designed by some of our partners to gain money, to gain technology, to monitor the border. We very much encourage that border, but we are very much concerned about the sanctuaries, the support for insurgency. If that was not stopped, the people of Pakistan will also sacrifice, as Afghan people are sacrificing. So we today are talking at a very strategic level. Our peace and reintegration efforts started. President Karzai announced in his speech that now we are not dealing with the symptoms, we are moving to strategic level. Strategic level, we want Pakistan to be consciously and sincerely engaged, because Pakistan is also sacrificing, because Pakistan is also shocked. Every time you see there is bomb blasts. So it's when you overinvest on some things, it goes beyond your control. So it's now beyond the control. So we are very sympathetic towards Pakistan, that colleagues, friends, brothers, you're also the victims. So let's jointly, in a pragmatic way, stop the terrorism. Otherwise, borders are very technical issues. It is just cheating someone that we are, yes, controlling the borders, applying this many forces, and we need this technology, this many resources, and this is not a very long border that need natural security, not security based on soldiers and armies. You cannot bring to each 1 meter a soldier to control your border. Now it's that the walls are also not the solutions. At that time there was an option that we will bring some wires and walls. It is impossible because one of the family members is crossing the border to Afghanistan side, and the other is living that side. It is not acceptable for the people living there. So, in a very responsible manner, inshallah, President Karzai and Pakistan government, President Zardari will sit together and will strategically solve these issues. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Another question? Yes, sir.
Yes. My question is mostly about the community development councils and tying those in with district and province. Moving forward, community development councils, for anyone's not aware, they're at the village level at developing what's the best way to move forward for development in certain areas. Tying those in with long-term governance at those levels and tying that into province. And if you see the ability of districts and lower to generate revenue, whether that be through tax revenue, local bazaars, anything like that, that ties them to be able to generate their own revenue and tie that in through province, as opposed to from Kabul down.
Yeah. Revenues, of course, unless you provide services, the people will not be very welcoming towards revenues. Yes, Afghan government is developing local government strategies, how to self-reliant. And as you mentioned, DDAs, district development councils, and assemblies, and at the same time community outreach or tribal council that is so effective promoting government agenda in the people, and also giving legitimacy to Afghan government in the country, and also very much effective to resist the enemy. And our CBS approach, community-based security approach. So revenues, I think we are not at that level because we were not providing the satisfactory level of services to the people. Yes, of course, the concept, of course, is there still. Revenues are there on my provincial level, but we are very much trying to be responsive and then gain some revenues. Agriculture reforms, the Ministry of Agriculture is working on that to lay taxes and these things. Small farms with electricity is already coming to my province. The first time in Afghan history, electricity is coming to Laghman province. It is again a dream that is realized. So small farms industries will be activated. And at the same time, so many other small-based, home-based, or village-based industries we are having in our development plan to create, and inshallah it will give us and ensure the future of Laghman and as well as in the country. Some structural reforms are being taken by President Karzai after this strategic relation because he was a little bit busy and he is just developing the policies.
Sure.
Well, my name is David McCrann. I work for the Department of State. I spent the last 2 years planning the transition from in Baghdad in Iraq from the DoD mission to the DOS mission. One of the things that we found was security costs were very, very high for the teams that we leave behind.
Yes.
The PRT, and from your perspective, what would be the top 3 programs or engagements that you would drop if the security after the U.S. troops left reduced? And what would be the top 3 engagements or programs they can keep going forward without the U.S. military in country to provide security?
That question is a little bit too technical at this point because it's not a decision that the governor can make. He can't make a decision about which programs he gets to keep.
The question is very good. Very good, very good. very good question here is. He take very good point. I will try. If you have some things you tell, then I am trying. Very good point you raise. Very good point. I encourage. Yeah, please.
Oh, you go ahead.
My friend, you are very right. This is a very pragmatic vision you have. I am all the time talking with my colleagues that yes, at 2 levels. From your level, the war in Afghanistan is very expensive. It's unaffordable. For instance, one vehicle, I don't know the name specific. Repeatedly, people are talking to me that this name is, I call them castles. Castles in Afghanistan is a big houses with mud constructed houses. MRAPs. One MRAP cost without the radio and communications system that costs 500,000, $500,000. Your security forces in Afghanistan, there we will be unable to find any single soldier whose salary is less than $3,000. And the transportation of 100,000 troops to Afghanistan and then giving logistical support from here, it is a tough task. So that's why today we ask that it's high time to talk about transition, to reduce the expenses. My soldier's salary is $200. Your soldier's salary is $3,000. So on $3,000, we can sustain 1 battalion of our armed forces. So when we are talking about these things, transition, gradual withdrawal forces from Afghanistan, so it will make it possible to afford the war for a long time. Yes, we have a very rich experience in Afghanistan. 3 models of ENA structures we have. One was when Afghanistan was stable on its own troops and its own environment. This model was created. It was Dawood Khan's time, before Soviets interfered in Afghanistan. We had a very good army, cost-effective. We could afford to maintain and support and finance. The other was when Soviets interfered, the structural reforms and structural changes, I cannot say reforms, but structural changes in the army came. So it was not very Afghanized model. Now is the third one that is, of course, very effective, but affordability of this model of ENA, the standards that's maintained. So we are very closely working with our US partners, those who are very effectively training on ENA. Very effectively. We appreciate the expertise you have, and in a very short and brief time you are training our ENA and police at a very good standards. But yes, this is the thing in transition package. Our transition commission is working on that. Miguel is right. But it is the question sometimes I'm raising, that let's deal with this issue as well. Yes, it is very good model. It's very effective. It's very responsive. It is a very well-trained army we have, but maintaining on this level, can Afghanistan afford? So this is a question. So the 3 models, we are just going to enrich that can enrich our experience. So with the partnership of our partners, US partners and international partners, we are just developing a mechanism how Afghanistan will be able to maintain the security forces expenditure. So I think it is before time if I comment on this thing, but Transition Commission and our National Security Council, with the partnership of United States and other partners, are very closely working on this thing to make sure that we can maintain our ENA.
And just so you understand, transition currently is under deep discussion. I have to go back and I have to discuss this issue. We've written papers on this. It is an evolving policy, and it is inappropriate for me as a Department of State official to start making comments about something that is in the process of being evaluated. And it's inappropriate also for the governor to make comments about something that is strictly a U.S. development policy. So that is the reason why I just could not give you a response.
Well, say hello to Tony when you get to college.
Okay.
Miguel is demonstrating his excellent Syracuse University education here and making those discreet remarks. Before we conclude today, where's one more time? Another question or two? Yes, sir.
I'm also from Afghanistan, and I wish my colleague...
from Laghman.
Yeah, I'm from Laghman here. Governor Azizi is on the position. So I wish my colleague from Pakistan, she was here making this point. As she mentioned that the border issue, but in fact the ground reality is that Afghanistan itself is a big victim of that border issue, and also here Pakistan is sending lots of terrorists and also suiciders in return. What the Pakistan gets, like Afghan products like rags, which Afghan made carpet goes to Pakistan, and dry fruit where it's labeled and sent by Pakistanis to European markets and also the markets in the United States. And whatever Governor mentioned, it gives more kind of a sense of optimism to everyone. But from my perspective, unless there is an original settlement established to the issue of Afghanistan, I don't see a secure and stable future for Afghanistan. I'm sure some of the people and the regional consensus, the general consensus and view would be here that interference, whatever Pakistan makes in Afghanistan, it's due to its national interest. But what if somehow this national interest of Pakistan contradicts with the national interest of the United States? And I'm sure stable and secure Afghanistan will serve the legitimate interest of the regional powers and also including the United States. So my point is that what message do you have to give to this all distinguished professor, which I see, and also somehow their inputs are really appreciated by the U.S. administration, somehow making and designing its policy, that how it should deal with Pakistan. I'm sure I do not expect there should be kind of an attack or very tough measure against Pakistan, because Pakistan is a different case. It's a nuclear power, to be realistic, and also the issue of China. And this makes it more kind of a complicated and complex case. But as a governor and an Afghan official, what message do you give, how there should be kind of a certain approaches to bring kind of a more security when the Pakistan has agreed upon?
I think I noticed a lot of changes and improvements recently, and that gives confidence to the people of Afghanistan and personally to me that Hillary Clinton's visit to Pakistan was a very clear message to Pakistan, and also she was very much trying to constructively engage Pakistan to deter terrorism in the region. We noticed a lot of pragmatism and diplomatic activities dealing Pakistan, and we are expecting that the United States of America itself and the world community is very strategically and consciously now responding to these issues, regional issues. So give us confidence, but we are still patient. We were very much awaiting the world to know what is the situation going on. So we, like partners with the international community, and of course, Pakistan is also very much sometimes victimized by terrorism. So to know the reasons and factors, President Karzai is very much is enthusiastic to take this issue on a high and strategic level, regional level, and not only to deal the symptoms of terrorism, also the root causes. So there is a confidence existing there. I hope that very strategically and wisely this issue will be managed by the United States of America and also Afghanistan and the other relevant countries. Yeah, there is hope. There is hope.
Governor, we note that perhaps some of the best and most challenging questions come from your own countrymen.
I don't know.
Those from Canada. Yeah. That was excellent. Before we conclude today, and thank the Governor and Mr. Sapp, Nick Armstrong has a few words and some gifts from Syracuse.
Well, let me just say that we are all so very grateful to have the opportunity to listen to you, and for me personally to be able to spend a week with you both has been a learning experience of a lifetime. And so, Governor Azizi, I'd like to present you with a gift. We've learned quite a bit from you over the last.
But before receiving your gift, I just want to extend my very special thanks, Professor, to you, Armstrong, our Dr. Corrine, and they were very, very actively supporting our mission and was with us. Was very, ma'am, to you, very in a very generous way. You were, in a very warm way, they were supporting us. That's why I will never forget your very warm welcome, the colleagues here, and the impressive thing you told me that day about the university, and I'm mentioning this all the time. I was actually searching for the specialty in the university. What is the specialty in this university? Why this university is distinct. Asking the Malik Khan told me that I used to be the student of this university. So meeting the people were also very much talking and very much impressed. But I was just looking for the reason why this is so much impressive performance. So, Professor, you told me a very good thing, that theory in action. The most pragmatic and most impressive academic approach this university adopted for social sciences specifically. I found a very great interest and enthusiasm in Dr. Corrine and Armstrong, with the guidance of you, Professor, how enthusiastic they were to learn and get some things. And so I will encourage them to come to Afghanistan, have a field assessment, have a real perception of Afghanistan. So thank you so much, all of you. And my special thanks, Professor, to you. Very sympathetically you manage, and very warmly you manage this trip. Thank you so much. You came to the Institute of Peace, and then here all the time you are with us. So we honor your welcome.
It's been a distinct pleasure, but you're not off the hook yet.
You're not. And just to echo your comments some more, we've learned so much from you.
Thank you.
That we'd be remiss not to present you with a certificate in post-conflict reconstruction. I'll actually read it.
This is what Malik Khan was telling me, that I have the honor to be the student of this university for one day. Thank you, ma'am.
And I'll read it here. It says, the Institute for National Security and Counterterrorism, the certificate attests that Governor Mohammad Azizi is presented with an honorary certificate for his leadership in bringing peace, economic prosperity, and democratic governance to the people of Laghman Province. In recognition of this achievement, the certificate is awarded on November 9th, 2011. Signed, William C. Banks.
Thank you so much.
Whoops. We're not done yet. This is also for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All of you. Thank you.
And Mr. Sapp, sir, thank you so much for working with us, thinking of us to be able to put this event together. It's been a tremendous reward for us.
Thank you.
And your service is a great reflection upon Maxwell. You're an inspiration to a lot of the students out here who plan to have a career in service to our nation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
One more hand for the governor and Mr. Sapp. Thank you.